Welcome to the inaugural State of Art program on the Voices of Pueblo podcast, brought to you by the Star Journal in Pueblo, Colorado. I'm Bree Anne Pappan, and today I am really excited to dive into the stories, inspirations, and innovations shaping our city's vibrant art scene, and to be joined by three members of the Urban Sketchers of Pueblo. I want to welcome you all to the studio. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm joined by Teresa Vito, Bernice Barnes, and Marc Sabatella from the Urban Sketchers of Pueblo. And I want to just thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm really excited to have this be the first of many, I hope, to be in the State of Art programming for the Voices of Pueblo. I just want to start off and really talk about the collective notion of the arts, music, and creative arts here in Pueblo, and the groups that are so essential to that sustainability. And Teresa, as the founding member, one of the founding members of the Urban Sketchers of Pueblo, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about the origins of the group and how it came to be here in Pueblo.
Well, Sally Lincoln, who I've known since the late 80s, and we both happened to move to Pueblo at the same time, like the year 2000, have always sketched together and in places deemed not safe, and you could feel it. Also, Joe Caulfield is a good friend of ours, and we got together to start sketching. Sally was the one who knew about the whole scene of urban sketchers worldwide. And she says we should, because we were sort of doing it a little mini just ourselves gathering, she said we should get into that website and join it. And that was our first official Urban Sketchers, because you have to be accepted, first of all, was May 2019. And then it took about a year and a half. We wanted to get international status, and you have to go through a lot of loops. This program is just artists from all over the world, thousands of artists in hundreds of cities, and are all doing this and posting it. And there are rules, so we have like a manifesto on what to do on our website, you know, what you're allowed to do and what you're not. You have to have at least started at what the drawing live. No photos, you know, to draw from or things like that. But it became, we just had a good time sketching together and being out and about in Pueblo. Everywhere I look, I like to do urban, but everywhere I look there is a drawing or a painting everywhere. And so we have met once a week for 5 years, going to be 6 this May, which is a lot of looking for places to sketch. And that makes us one of the most active, which we didn't realize, members of the whole community worldwide. A lot of people just meet once a month or even less. And if you miss one, then you have to wait, you know, a long time. This makes it easier for life to happen. And we didn't know that people didn't do it like us, but we are way top in how many times we sketch together.
That's fantastic. So I understand that there are over 60 countries with around 300 groups of membership in the global community of the Urban Sketchers. Is that right?
Yes.
That's amazing. And so how many members do you have right now in the Pueblo group?
It's over 600. I'm not exactly sure about the number.
Are you serious? Oh, my goodness.
What happens is if you want to comment on any of the sketches that are actually posted, in order to make a comment, you have to become a member. So not everybody that is included is an active participant, the ones that actually show up and draw. But the people that want to have any access to the Facebook have to agree with the manifesto and become a member. So, yeah, we have a huge membership. We're not even sure who everybody is. And it becomes kind of interesting when we declare where the destination will be and who shows up, because we never know for sure who's going to show up. And it's not exclusive. We don't exclude anyone. And I think that makes it really important for people that are just trying to become sketchers, or at least enjoy their creative ability in some way. And it's very interesting to watch what happens with people when they join our group. I'll pass that back to
Okay,
Teresa.
right. Bernice, you also mentioned that about the incredible natural camaraderie that comes through being in the group and meeting on Sundays in your chosen location. How do you think that, I mean, has any of that gone into, I'd say, the nurturing of each other's artwork?
Absolutely. One of the best things you can do to advance your skills is to do plein air work. It makes you see and draw, and it starts causing your brain to see things in a different perspective than if you're looking at a photograph, and it gives you a much more artistic ability. So having been a watercolorist for most of my life, I wasn't a good sketcher, and learning how to draw is amazing. It's like you finally see things in their shape, and you draw the shape. You don't try to draw a tree from when you were a kid. You look at the tree and draw the branches the way they actually exist. And I think that's really important for your creative growth as well as your artistic ability. What it does for us as a group is we're totally amazed at the end of our little 1 or 2 hour sessions that we've been sitting there looking at the same things, drawing the same pieces, and everybody's work is different and everybody's work is unique, and it's really, really fun. And you know, people may be a bit shy at first to show what they've done, and they don't need to post it, but they'll definitely get a positive feedback because we're not critiquing each other. We're giving positive feedback to creative spirit, and that's what we intend to do.
Right. That's the true meaning of a collective of people that are gathering for a common purpose and that are really cheering on each other for, the betterment of their art, for the betterment of art and of their art. And I really think that that's really a sustainable factor in promoting the arts in Pueblo and just honestly just nurturing the resurgence of the arts and of all forms in Pueblo right now. Marc, you are a newcomer to Pueblo and to the group. Welcome and to Pueblo. And I wanted you to tell me a little bit about what attracted you to Pueblo and to the group, of course.
Well, what attracted me to Pueblo was our family was looking to make a move from Denver, and we had a variety of things we were looking at that we needed, and with all those things that we needed, being able to afford it was a part of it, and also wanting it to be enough of a city to have, an art scene and just a general cultural, not just living somewhere where its only benefit was being inexpensive. And Pueblo really kind of stood out in our search as, this is a place where a lot of things come together. So anyhow, that's how we ended up in Pueblo, and it was sort of a gradual moving process over the course of several months of fixing up this house and getting the other one ready to rent out and stuff. So during last summer, when that process was happening, is when I discovered the Urban Sketchers here and started sketching with them when I could, because there was a whole lot of back and forth. I had actually known, though, about the Urban Sketchers internationally from kind of the early days. I also was kind of semi-serious about photography at one point and would post my work on Flickr, which is where the Urban Sketchers kind of started life. And so I was aware of them, but we didn't have a chapter in Denver. And I was, at the time, splitting my time between music and art. I mean, really, I'm a musician, but I was a fairly serious artist for a while, to the point where it was looking like it was going to be a 50-50 kind of career thing of doing both of them equally. And then I got offered a teaching position at a university in Denver, University of Denver, and in music. And so the art kind of fell off to the side and became more of more of a hobby kind of a thing. And so the Urban Sketchers fits this really well because I think of it, urban sketching, the end goal is not necessarily the art for art's sake, but about the experience of being these places, discovering these places, which has been great for me as a newcomer, discovering places by sketching them, and it has been awesome. And getting to know these places, getting to know the people. Building community is a huge part of what I'm interested in, and being part of a community, and this is a wonderful community to be part of. So to me, it just brings all these things together really, really amazingly well. And so, yeah, I'm really happy I found it as quickly as I did.
That's fantastic. And it's no surprise that just about everybody in the Urban Sketchers are multi-talented, whether it be multiple arts, musicians, and photographers. And I really think about all of those things coming together and informing your art. I'm interested in knowing from all of you, why do you think that the group such as the Urban Sketchers is so important to the sustainability and vitality and resurgence of promoting the arts in Pueblo? Teresa.
Community. One thing about a lot of artistic endeavors, especially the practice of it, is you do it alone. And to be with like-minded people on a beautiful day, and everyone is happy to be out, and we created an unbelievable sense of community and support, celebrating everybody, and it's just such a feel-good thing. Plus, and I have done, painted a lot of the buildings in here in Pueblo, and then with sketching them and being around, you really realize the beauty that's around you. A photo, you can say, oh, that's pretty, and take a photo of it. But when you're trying to draw it, you're like, oh, wow, look at those little curlicues on this building. And you get such a more sense of the people that created the buildings, or whatever, who built that telephone pole, and great wires guy, whatever. But I think it's community, and being together is huge.
Absolutely. And I as a viewer from the outside and somebody who is following you on Facebook, I mean, obviously you have grasped the social media platform, and I think that's fantastic because it really gives you an opportunity to expose your art to whomever wishes to see it. I have loved seeing the metamorphosis of a sketch that is done, and then certain members that were there are posting, maybe a progression of painting into that sketch, or adding watercolor color to the sketch, or maybe they weren't able to complete the sketch and at the time and the time frame that you were all there. And honestly, it is just a champion of how many beautiful places are here in Pueblo, and how much pride there is in terms of the urban architecture and all of the things that I think a lot of people in Pueblo really have a deep feeling about for. So I really want to just highlight some of those things, those places. What were some of for all of you, what are some of your favorite places that you've sketched and that have really been meaningful for you?
Basically, I think we've been everywhere, and
How many places do you think you guys have visited?
We're not absolutely sure, but it's something like 120, and that's been over the last 5 years, and we've repeated several. So, some of our favorite places are on Union Avenue and doing, Neon Alley and the Union Depot, and I have to gratefully say that every museum in Pueblo has invited us to be there and sketch at no cost, which is important because we don't want to have anything that makes it exclusive. If you can't pay the fee to get in, you may not want to come and sketch with us, and that's not part of what we do. we have to find places that are available to the public, will allow for at least 30 people, and will give us enough parking places so that we can all show up at the same time and not be imposing on everybody. And sometimes we'll go into a neighborhood because we've been invited to go to the backyard of places, and it's been wonderful. I mean, many, many places in Pueblo have invited us to just show up. And it's kind of interesting to see what the neighbors do. They're not quite sure what's happening either, but we've never been...
A party they weren't invited to, maybe.
We've never been told to leave that I'm aware of, but, you know, it's just interesting. We go to the schools. We have many, many places that we really enjoy seeing, and we have to thank places like the Fire Museum. Whoever knew that there was this Fire Museum on Broadway, and it's great. And Gary Michelli is just amazing. He's helped us many times, especially when we have to find an indoor location, because in the winter when it's just too cold to be outside, we're constantly looking for where can we go that's inside. And it doesn't have to be very, very impressive as far as what to sketch, because believe me, we will look at anything and sketch it. We have a place that we all enjoy going because there's so much stuff there. And that's the ranch. What is it? Nature Center Road.
Oh,
yeah.
Ken Hayward's?
Ken Hayward's place.
My God.
That's it. He's got windmills and rockets, and it's
Where is that?
It's on the way to it's on the way to the Nature Center, and on the left you'll see really a beautiful barn, but there are rows of old gas pumps, and as far as you can see, there's incredible junk. Really well done, and he is totally. I could
Curated
draw
junk.
there
We call
for
it
a
curated
year.
junk.
Curated.
I think part of what we try to do is stay within the location of Pueblo, because we have many people that do not want to travel outside the city. So it does kind of limit us to how much we will do. We do some work in Pueblo West at a horse ranch and at the pond that's by Cattail Crossings. We've just been to numerous places. It's hard to state them all. Some of the best backyards I've ever seen in Pueblo. They're amazing. And I don't know, what do you think, Mark?
Yeah. From my perspective as a newcomer, I love the variety because, yes. Okay. First of all, I love coming downtown. That's one of the things that attracted me to Pueblo. And I've enjoyed every single sketch we've done here. But then there's like all these sections of Pueblo that I might never have had an opportunity to even visit or an excuse to visit if we weren't going there for sketching. And I should mention, during those first few months when I was here with no vehicle other than my bicycle. And so everywhere that we went, anywhere I went, I had to be able to get to by bike. And Pueblo's small enough you can mostly do that. I have use of a car now that the rest of the family's here, but I still enjoy getting around by bike. And so it's been just really great exploring places that I might have been a little afraid to figure out how to get to otherwise. And yeah, I've driven to places when I've needed to. I've enjoyed going. We've gone out into the county some, so between Muso's farm and whoever that people that had the donkeys and stuff. I forget who they were, but out by the airport, that there was a farm out there. Anyhow, just I've just enjoyed the variety more than anything as far as seeing Pueblo.
That's great. I have to admit, I am a fan of your one of the most recent sketches that you've done, which is I call it like a monochromatic image of the neon alley, and I really love it. It's it's because you think of neon alley. I mean, it's imaged at night, but you had a way of just capturing certain parts of it that were just very whimsical and having that was great. I love that. Was one of my favorite sketches of yours. Yes. Yeah. And Teresa and Bernice, I have had the pleasure of also seeing, and when we're talking about multi-talents and, your prolificity in terms of showing in other galleries as well. I know that you've, and Mark, I hope that you are able to get into some of the galleries. I recommend you taking part in some of the shows. For example, the Liminal Space Gallery at the Arts Alliance has a show called the Square Show, and it's coming up in April. And it's you're able to go and get one of 3 sizes of canvases and just submit that. And it's a great opportunity for people to go to the gallery and to really explore something that they would do on a smaller scale, much like the Urban Sketchers of Pueblo do on a smaller scale. And tell me a little bit about, how, your experiences in showing in some of the galleries and how involved you are in some of the galleries and where they are.
I think Teresa's probably got a better grasp on it. I've shown at Liminal Space. I've also shown when they have availability for the Sketchers. We've also been at Steel City. We've also been at the Heritage Museum. We've shown my work. I show also in Canyon City at the Artists Gallery. And also I don't want to exclude anything in Pueblo, but I do the Bell Tower in Florence. I have done the Fremont Center for the Arts and the mayor's office. I mean, pop-up places that you don't think about, and I'll be invited to put my artwork there, and that I will do. I wanted to make mention of a place that we kind of missed on the list of places that we love to go, and that's the Wise Broad Museum. They are so inviting, and
That's a
they'll
fantastic
accept
place,
us
yeah.
every single time, and we've been there several times. So I'm going to hand it over to Teresa to talk about galleries.
Okay, I've been showing my artwork since 2nd grade. Which was right.
Which was yesterday.
Right.
No.
Right. I moved to Pueblo in 2001 on 9/11. So I'm really glad that my dad said don't put all your money down because life changed. But I've been a full-time artist since 1992. I was based for 20 years in Denver. I'm originally from upstate New York, and I have been full-time for decades. And I've had galleries in Colorado from Estes Park to Santa Fe. And have been in many, many shows. I think my most galleries I had were 9 at once, including big shows, Oil Painters of America and things like that. And so I was producing. But I also, one of the reasons I like Sketchers, because my sketchbooks, and I have stacks. I've taught all over the world, and there are sketches of it. They're for me personally. I'm not selling it. I'm also experimenting with, Bernice really opened my eyes to watercolor. I just used it as like a New Yorker illustration technique, and all I've learned from the other sketchers. But because this is my personal time, and I'm not planning, I'm not making money off it. It gives me a lot of freedom to not produce, though I always produce, but not produce. But so, right, I'm in Pueblo. I'm in John Doe Gallery.
Okay, and that's on Union Ave.
That's on Union Ave.
Very good. Do we have time to invite Joe to say anything? Or okay, Joe was joining us on Zoom, but he wasn't able to join us in the studio today. But he is joining us to be a part of the podcast. I also wanted to bring to light that some of you have a show coming up on the calendar. And Teresa, do you have a show? Any shows coming up?
The one I am really preparing for is I've been asked to have a solo show at the Sangre de Cristo Art Center. And it goes from the middle of May to the middle of November. I don't have the dates in my mind. I just know I have to deliver May 5th. And it's become interesting enough for me, a retrospective, because I didn't arrive to where I am now without doing this for many years. And it's also a time for me to clean out my basement. And after spending 2 years cleaning out my mother's house, I figure I should be the one cleaning out mine. So I'm really excited trying to put a cohesive, it's called The Lifetime of Art, and trying to figure out
Finding those little sketches from second grade.
And exactly, and finding out how to make it, I could probably fill the entire art center with stuff that I have. So but I'm very excited and very honored, and it's really causing me I'm finding things I don't even remember doing. I'm finding galleries I don't even remember I've been in, and it's causing me, at my age, I'm 66, I really am appreciative that I've done this all my life. I don't have a retirement, but artists don't retire.
A retirement 401k.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Talk to me a little bit about, Bernice, talk to me about some of the collaborations that the Urban Sketchers of Pueblo have recently done.
Collaborations are probably the thought that we can show our work in places, and we have done that. The realization is that the Urban Sketchers is a very loose-knit organization, and we don't have like a treasurer or a president or some place where you would say, oh, that's the boss, and you go to that person, and all of the money will be collected by the treasurer, and then it'll be distributed evenly. So there are a lot of things that we don't do because they're commercial. But independently, we're encouraged to do several things. And when we collaborate with each other and we know what shows are coming up and remind each other, be sure you get your pieces in on time, that helps us develop as more or less professional artists, even if we're in an emerging status. And we know what's happening in the whole scene locally. So Teresa was in a great show in Trinidad. We also do the Paint the Town in Florence, which is an annual event. Sometimes people from the Sketchers will also do I don't know what they call it, the one that's a plein air event in Victor. Oh, yeah. So we kind of keep each other informed about what's happening. And that helps with people that are a little timid about wanting to put their artwork out there, but they have somebody that they can walk through it with. You can talk to people and say, this is how you go about doing a plein air event. This is what you need to have with you. This is what you should expect to finish by the end of the week. So as far as growth, it's an amazing growing organization. It's personal growth, organizational growth, community growth. It all works together, and we all know about each other's other creative abilities, like Marc. Marc came to us, and we weren't too sure what all he was about, but he was a great person, and he showed up every time. And then we found out he was a jazz pianist. So, we can't help ourselves. We kind of we kind of push people to their limits. So we went to the Elks one day, and we're going, Marc, there's a piano.
Yeah,
please put your fingers on the keys. And he did, and he gave us a little concert, and we're like, how great is that? It's just really fun.
Writing by music, that's very inspirational.
And you look at Marc's artwork, and to me, I look at it, and it's the same as his music. It's all the same vibe. It's an interesting way of saying your sound is somehow related to how you portray everything, and it's really fun to watch. We've also had other people that are similar in the nature of how they do things, and his is one that just really stands out to me.
Well, thank you. That was that was a lot of fun for me to get to play and have be sketched while I played, and that was fun. But yeah, the whole aspect of interacting with people and getting to know them and these different aspects of what they do is so big for me as well. I mean, art typically is such a solitary activity. I mean, you do it in your privacy of your own studio or whatever. But there's certain things that will bring artists together, and there's things like, First Friday and having the art walk and all the gallery shows that bring people together. But the Urban Sketchers is a huge part of that here that is missing in so many communities. And I was like, so happy,
especially coming from
this.
Denver as a community. I know in terms of the how expansive the offerings could be in Denver. compared, is it like apples and oranges, or is it just kind of more of the...
It's apples and oranges a bit, because obviously Denver's a much bigger community, but there's less tying it all together. There's little pockets of, this art district, that art district, that art district, and you will interact some because of certain shows that are like citywide shows or statewide shows, or like the Art Students League, which somehow everyone sort of interacts with at some level. Not everyone, but a lot of people do. But yeah, no, the fact that Pueblo, for a town the size it has as active of an art scene as it does, and as active, and because of groups like the Urban Sketchers, is just amazing to me. And my own personal plug is I'm trying to see how to make that happen for music.
Exactly. So I think, in my experiences in the arts, having music present while making art is not only an inspirational activity, but it's also really gets the neurological juices flowing and having those beautiful influences. Where do you see, the state of arts happening? Where would you like to see it go this year, and what are the different types of things that I know that's a big question, but what are the things that you would like to see happen in Pueblo in regards to the arts?
Since I still have the microphone, I will say one thing is I've been involved lately with the Creative Consortium of Pueblo, which, is promoting arts in different ways. And I, again, got involved specifically because I was like, yeah, I see good stuff happening for visual art and I want to make them happen for music. But I've been doing more arts-related thing, and we have created this thing now we're calling Pueblo Arts Week, and that's going to happen basically the first half of April. And the goal is to continue to build this thing. So we at first thought we were going to build like an art festival. And then we realized, well, no, there's lots of events happening already. They're just little individual silos. Let's put an umbrella around them and
such
put a
as
big
like
tent.
Steel City Music Fest,
yes,
and the Pueblo Film Fest, and other things I think all happening in April.
Exactly, and so Primavera is a group that is now put their umbrella over those two, and we are sort of working with those people also. But there's several art-related events. There's a Pueblo Market for the Arts happening at the Sangre de Cristo. There's a number of different arts events all happening beginning of April, and then we were like, well, maybe we can make some additional events happen to just really have these different groups interact and work together. And so I'm happy to be able to be helping with that, and would love to be seeing more.
I think the one thing that we've all commented on as far as what we'd like to see in the future for the art in this community is an improvement in the gallery that's available at the State Fair. And that particular issue is a big issue, and it's not something that we would say is an Urban Sketchers issue, but we would like to see a much better gallery available, and I think it would bring in more of the artists that are a little bit concerned about putting their work there, and I don't want to be too critical, but that particular building works on evaporative cooler, and it gets really wet in there, and it's really hard to keep your artwork nice, and it'll warp the mat board. So we really would like to see the State Fair have a better art exhibit, a much more sophisticated, high level, and maybe I'm going to get some feedback on this, but that's fine. It needs to be brought to the attention.
Okay. Well, I really want to thank the three of you for joining me in the studio today. And I am really excited about this first podcast that we're having for State of Art. And that's it for our episode. I really appreciate you joining me for the State of Art, part of the Voices of Pueblo podcast from the Pueblo Star Journal. Thanks for listening and celebrating the creativity that makes Pueblo shine. For more stories and updates, visit pueblostarjournal.org. And don't forget, you can find our podcasts on all major platforms, including iTunes, YouTube Music, and Spotify. Subscribe, follow, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting us.